Welcome everybody to ShuttleFest II. I'm Marquette of the American Space Museum. We have a little program this morning on the mobile launch platforms that become the mobile launcher platforms. And those of you that have been looking for the morning program, we had technical difficulties, but we'll have the afternoon panels up there for you. But we're having a good day here. Wish you were here with us, and we appreciate the people who support the American Space Museum. ShuttleFest II, like Columbia, there was a ShuttleFest. You had to land Columbia and then launch it again. So that's what we're doing. Seeing our STS-2 is, again, kind of in the beta mode, if you would, please, but we're refining it, and there will be a ShuttleFest 3, 4, and 5 we're planning, putting together a panel, and I would prefer that 4 and 5 in 2025 and 2026 focus on the mirror shuttle years, and that would be enjoyable. So, the mobile launcher platforms, all right? These are three different amazing, necessary but innocuous blocks of, for better word of it, metal that is much like built like a ship inside. There we see what they call the milk stool on the mobile launch platform number 1. Mobile Launcher 1 became Mobile Launch Platform 3, and I've got a little graphic to point that out. Did we load those graphics? Okay. Yeah, let's start that up. Next slide there, please. And there's the mobile launcher. You look at the bottom, they have numbers printed on them. That's a USAC photo. Go ahead till we get those panels. Well, there's a number, yep, right in there. It says number 2, I believe, on that one. Yeah, that is number 2. We're going to go zoom in with the eye. That is number 2, so good. And there is the construction of Mobile Launch Platform 2, which is what the documentary is about, tearing that thing down. And as Pete Charamute says, the guy that was demolishing it, NASA tried to sell that, okay, to like the ESA, European Space Agency, or somebody, come and buy this, it's already built and so forth, it's all ready to go. How are you going to ship it? 6 million pounds shipping, and NASA realized that's a stupid thing. We ain't never going to sell this. We got to pay to have it dismantled and so forth. Next slide, please. There is a Mobile Launch Platform 2 that had was originally 1, I think, is over it there. And the mobile launcher is the Apollo era. The mobile launch platform that some of them became is the shuttle era. Now become clear as mud here when I put my chart up there. Next slide, please. That is the part of these mobile launchers became things that were readily used. Of course, that's a remote service structure that moved around the shuttle. When they dismantled some of these, like parts went to that. And then the red, many of you know, is called the Launch Umbilical Tower, the LUT, I learned in acronym world of NASA, the LUT there. Next slide, please. And there again is 1. That's the one that used to be 3 covered up there on there with either STS-1 or 2 on there because of the white tank. And next slide, please. Yep, thank you. And there shows the close-up where mobile launcher number 3 became Mobile Launch Platform number 1, all right, about a decade later. And that's an interesting platform because that also launched the Ares 1 rocket in 2009. Remember the Constellation program going to the moon? And we successfully launched an Orion capsule on Ares 1, which was solid rocket, single stick, worked just fine. But that was in 2009. And then this became a road grader, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. Next slide, please. And that shows the they put on the bottom of this this is number ML3. Mobile Launcher 3 became Mobile Launch Platform 1 and launched 52 shuttles from 81 to 2009, and also launched Apollos 10, 13, 15, 16, and 17. And they have that red little banner on the top one up there. So next slide, please. And there's what they look like. Of course, the crawler is its separate own thing. The mobile launch platform on top, and what Pete, that you're going to hear, Pete, that was the demolition expert on this, and Mike Cotton, who was the producer of the documentary. These things always live at least 20 feet off the ground. They're 26 feet tall, but they were never brought down to ground level because we don't want to lift up 6 million pounds to put the crawler under. We'll just set them on posts and the crawler can come up under there. So when they had to demolish them was the first time they brought them down to ground level, and his crew literally built earth mounds around the whole thing so they could walk up to it and access it. And that's part of the story that you're going to see in the documentary. If you can't stick around for it, buy the DVD on your way out after you sign Mike McCulley's Get Well card. All right, Jessica, what did we have a? Okay, so the graphics aren't there that I put up in there. No, I had some PowerPoint things, and I mean not PowerPoint, the publisher. Okay. Okay, they were loaded in that file, but well, here's the story. Mobile launch number 1, all right, was the first one built in 1966. They were also building simultaneously Mobile Launcher 2, all right. The Mobile Launcher 1 was the first Saturn V launch of Apollo 4 uncrewed. And then it launched Apollo 8 and 11. It's famous for 11, all right. And why they might want to save this, but they're not. The two most important moon missions, 8 in December 68 and then July 69, Apollo 11 launched off the Mobile Launcher number 1. Then they took that and launched the other Apollos off Mobile Launcher 2. Apollo 6, which was uncrewed but very successful. Apollo 9, 12, 14, and 17 were all launched. No, just 14. 9, 12, and 14 were launched off of ML2. And then they had ML3 built. And ML3 from 1969 to 1972, all right, launched Apollo 10, 13, 15, 16, and 17. And I know you all are just taking notes and remembering that. But the important thing is different of these platforms were used to launch different Apollo missions. And they were configured for the Saturn V rockets, one hole beneath them, okay, no problem there. Well, when the Apollo program ended and they launched Skylab, all right, on Mobile Launcher 2, Skylab then needed some occupants, so it was going to be launched on the milk stool. They had to, instead of creating a whole new LUT for all the umbilical towers and so forth to connect to, they said just lift up the rocket to the command modules at the same level. What's that level, Marty, the White Room? How many feet? 275? 320 up there. So they kept the White Room and everything where it was, and just literally with the Saturn S1B lifted the rocket there. Thank you for showing the milk stool there that they built. What a neat idea, I kind of thought, like, you know, that's really out of the box thinking, and that a Saturn 1B is not too heavy enough to crush that thing. But it worked great 3 times for Skylabs 1, 2, and 3. If you're an engineer, you'd call them 2, 3, and 4, the crewed missions. And the Apollo-Soyuz test projects in 1973 and 1975. So we're done with the Apollo program after the Apollo-Soyuz test project launched off this milk stool in 1975. So they're stuck with 3 launchers, all right? So they take Mobile Launcher number 1, and it was the last one to be converted, though it was the first one built. They took the one that launched the first shuttles would be Mobile Launcher 3, became Mobile Launch Platform 1. All right? And that launched 52 shuttles, including the maiden flight of Columbia from 1981 to 2009. All right? So in the shuttle era, ML2 became Mobile Launch Platform 2, and it launched 44 shuttles. It launched all the maiden flights of the 5 orbiters except Columbia. Columbian was maiden flight was off of MLP1. All right, but Mobile Launcher 2, that became Mobile Launch Platform 2, got scrapped. That's what this is all about. And they've just put it out in the field out there on Ransom Road and let it rust, and then, or wherever they put it, it went too far from the VAB, I'm sure. So that just saw a little bit of action, 44 shuttles, and it had Skylab and 4 Apollo missions. So the first one to be converted for the shuttles is, of course, the last one built for the Apollo era. ML3 become MLP1, and its history is very interesting. After the shuttle era, it became the launch to space, the base to space for Ares 1X. And then after the Ares Constellation program was canceled in 2009, it became a road grader. All right. What they converted it to, and what they call it out there, is it become a road conditioner for the crawler walkway. And because the crawler walkway hadn't been used in so long, they needed to condition that Tennessee River rock. That was the only kind of rock that wouldn't have a spark under that heavy weight, and condition all those layers underneath and so forth. So to add weight to it, what would you do to add a lot of ballast weight on top of there? They poured concrete on top of it. So I'm thinking of concrete, like I'm going to pour my patio in the backyard, forms and concrete. Oh, no. What Pete says they did, and I couldn't find any pictures of it, they call it, and I see Terry White out there, they call it the butter pads or something like that. What they did was they like sticks of butter are on top of this thing, so they could get enough weight. So they actually had to pour casts, maybe about 40 feet or 20 feet tall or something like that. And he said it looks like butter sticks out there. And so so that's the road grader. That's history. It's in the VAB, one of the high bays there. And and that's important. They'll probably take it out there to condition the crawler walkway there. Well, so the last one we hadn't talked about, what happened to it, was ML1 that became the milk stool that became MLP3, Mobile Launch Platform 3, for the last 29 shuttle missions from 1990 to 2011. After the last mission went up, Atlantis, STS-135, and came back, what are they going to do with the big base to space? Well, there was another program called Omega with a capital A at the end. That was their rocket, a company that later got bought out by, they were, what were they? And they got bought out by, Tom, you remember? They were, I got that note there somewhere probably. Oh, Constellation Ares. Omega A. I forget what the companies were in that, and I just have a senior moment there. But anyway, that was a year they were constructing this Omega rocket launcher on top of the mobile launcher platform number 3. And that got canceled, and it wasn't Northrop Grumman, it was another company, Orbital ATK. That's who started that. Orbital ATK, the Omega rocket was their thing, and then they segued to another company. They canceled that program. So here is this Mobile Launcher 3 in nothing to do with it, okay? And so they stored it in the VAB High Bay number 2, and had no plans for it, so it's going to be scrapped. And that is what Pete, the demolition guy, is going to do, is start working on MLP 3. He's got the contract on it to take it down. So there will be one of them left from the Apollo shuttle era, but it's a road grader now. all right, kind of interestingly. Then that'd be MLP Mobile Launcher 3 that become Mobile Launch Platform 1 that launched the Ares 1X is now a road grader, the only one out there. So that's the story of these mobile launchers that I really didn't know much about. Tom Usiak had a nice outline for me to go from on this, and then did a little book report from Wikipedia and other things. Oh, there we are. You found it there for me, dear. Thank you. There you have the lineup there. ML1 to ML1 for the milk stool, to ML3 to Omega to scrap. ML2 went to MLP2 and to scrap, and ML3 to MLP2 to Ares to road grader. Do we have the next one up there? There you go. ML1, that's the details of all the ones at Mobile Launcher 4, 8, and 11. Now, this is the one that is the most recent one that exists that they're scrapping, all right? So I would say there's a collectible out here for Mobile Launcher Platform 2, and I'll bet that they'll do some special stuff there because you got 8 and 11 there, the Seminole moon missions. And then 44 shuttles, like I said, the maiden flights of all orbiters but Columbia. Next slide, please. And there is the final one, ML3, that I said went to Mobile Launch Platform 2. Why didn't they keep the 3 number? I mean, it's just very interesting to follow this. But this is a very historic one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missions to the moon, 15 astronauts. About the 52 shuttle missions that this platform did had about 225 astronauts. I added up a total of something like 500 astronauts, not all American, of course, have been launched off these bases to space. And there's the current thing. For those of you that are interested about this, was a way that Russia is not launching their rockets. This is what we call vertical integration, something I learned, a vertical integration building at all these facilities. Russia does horizontal integrations, and then they take their launcher out there with the rocket on the side and put it up on big hydraulic lift. So that's the way they do it. Other countries that do the mobile launch base are, of course, Japan is using that out there, and ESA uses that system out there. One of the options. Of course, converting this pad from Apollo era to the shuttle era necessitated cutting holes in the top of it for the exhaust of the SRBs on 2 sides, and of course the shuttle main engines. That was literally the only difference in configuration, because it was just the base to space to lift up and take out to the launch pads out there. So, and I've enjoyed learning about this, and we'll turn this into a little Stay Curious program one day and on our video podcast. So hope you enjoyed this. Any questions about it? Comments? Robert Law, hello in Dundee, Scotland. Sorry that you missed the first panel, but we recorded it in some way and get it up there. But yes, Robert.
Robert wants to know, Omega was Grumman, and we might have just slipped over it.
Yeah, orbital ATK, Grumman may have had something to do with it. One of them bought it out there. Thank you, Robert. And we hope you can come next year to one of these shuttle fests here. He is coming to the States in some form or fashion, I know. Any other comments or questions out there, Jessica? Yeah, I know he was, and we apologize for that.
I told him we'll get it.
Specifics in the hotel, by the way, we don't get very good Wi-Fi where we're at here, and I couldn't put an alert up there. But we appreciate all of our people watching on our stream broadcast out there worldwide. And if you've not enjoyed our Stay Curious podcast, we do have regulars in Scotland up there. We've got of course, Dave Stangy's up in one of the other countries, Michigan, up there. Well, and we've got, I was trying to think of Cliff Watson. Hello, Cliff. He is waking up to Sunday morning in Australia out there. So, any questions from our audience here? Okay, good. Well, we appreciate you all being here. You're free until 1 o'clock when we come back here for the documentary. I hope you do. Enjoy our vendors and enjoy ShuttleFest II. And you got any things to bring up that can make it better, just see me, and we'll make note of that. Thank you, everybody. Those of you that got lunches, Selvin out there will tell you the lunches are where the coffee is at the end of the bar, and get to Selvin and he'll check your name off the list there.